Happening now, a Jamestown homeowner speaks to us exclusively after his property is vandalized for supporting law enforcement. Plus, a man is in county jail in connection with a recent homicide, the latest in the case, just moments away.
Well, today is the last day of the cool and comfortable weather. Then, as we go into the weekend, we crank up that heat. I've got the details next. The news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Our top story, a Jamestown homeowner whose property was vandalized with anti-police graffiti says he will not take down his thin blue line flag and is standing up for what he believes in. In an interview with WNY News Now, Rick Hammond says he first discovered the vulgar phrases early Wednesday morning, spray painted on the street and sidewalk leading up to his house on Arlington Avenue. Hammond believes he was targeted because of the thin blue line flag displayed in front of his home.
I got the flag because I've seen a lot of anti-police rhetoric out there, and I wanted police officers when they drove by to simply know that there are people out there who don't hate them. Not every cop is bad. Most cops aren't. Most are good. Most do their job to the best of their abilities. Most of them are not racist. They're not hunting down minorities in the street. It's just not happening. But if you look at the news and you look at statistics, you'll see a completely different thing.
When filing the report with Jamestown Police, Hammond says the officer handled the call with the utmost professionalism, which surprised him because of the circumstances.
I was way more angry than the officer was. I wouldn't have. She was handling a routine call, which is probably what she was trained to do. There was no emotion about it. She handled it perfectly. So good for her, because I don't know if I could have done it that well myself.
Police believe the graffiti was sprayed down sometime between early Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Jamestown Police Captain Robert Samuelson tells us those responsible could face criminal mischief or making graffiti charges, both misdemeanors in New York. Investigators are asking anyone who may have info on the incident to contact them at 483-7537 or via their anonymous tip line at 483-8477. Jamestown's mayor, who has advocated for law enforcement reforms locally and marched with groups like the Jamestown Justice Coalition, says he encourages an open and productive dialogue, not vandalism.
There's a lot of opinions out there I don't like. I drive through my neighborhood every day and see opinions that I don't like. They wouldn't know it because I don't say it to them. I don't act rude. I don't trash their property because we still have a First Amendment. They're entitled to their opinion, and we need to go back to those days where you can have an opinion and disagree and be civil about it.
He wished the vandals would have spoken to him about the flag rather than deface his property. His children have since colored messages of thanks on the driveway to show support to those in law enforcement. His daughter had several questions about why someone would do this to their home.
I said, when you encounter friends or people that you might not agree with on things, that's okay. You can disagree on things and still be friends. But there are unfortunately some people out there who think it's okay to do things like this when they don't agree.
Overall, Hammond says the incident only fuels his fire behind his right to express his thoughts.
I'm not crawling into my hole. I'm not going to do it. I'm not taking the flag down. Okay, it's not going to happen. Not going to get pushed around. But there's plenty of people who are. And I think if we want to put an end to what I think most rational people believe is ridiculous, then we need to start speaking up, because right now the very small minority of people is making the most noise. And I think that's a problem.
Hammond says if you stand for something, you should be able to say it and own it. That's the bottom line. This just in, a Jamestown man wanted for allegedly hindering prosecution in connection with the July murder of Brandon Hollins is now in custody. Jamestown police tell us that 41-year-old Jason Talley was arrested on Monday in Buffalo by the U.S. Marshal's Office. Now, City Court, meanwhile, says Talley appeared in Jamestown City Court yesterday for a preliminary hearing in the case. Talley was remanded to Chautauqua County Jail without bail. He's also being held on a state parole violation. Talley is scheduled for a preliminary hearing Friday in Jamestown City Court. Now, police say more charges are pending in the investigation. Now, another Jamestown man, Carl Sorensen, was indicted in second-degree murder charges earlier this month. He remains in county jail awaiting trial. Millions of Americans remain unemployed during the coronavirus pandemic, and many are struggling to pay their bills. But despite devastation in other parts of the economy, Americans' consumerism has started to make a comeback. Our Matt Hummel explains.
After suffering the biggest slump in 7 years this April, retail sales are on the rebound. Consumer spending was up for the last 3 months, and in July it hit an all-time record. It's the biggest piece of U.S. economic growth buoyed by retail sales. Big spending was seen on electronics, gas, clothing, and bars and restaurants, and new auto sales and home sales have also been strong. The report from the Commerce Department, however, does not calculate things like haircuts, medical expenses, and financial services. But experts don't think it's time to celebrate just yet. The additional $600 a week for unemployment benefits that were part of the federal stimulus package helped drive spending. But those benefits expired at the end of July, and economists say that could stall the uptick in spending. Congress has yet to pass a second stimulus bill, leaving millions in limbo without those additional unemployment benefits. Matt Hummel, WNY News Now.
Matt, thank you. Of the largest local retailers says that their sales soared amid this pandemic as Americans spent their stimulus checks and those unenhanced employment benefits. Walmart is reporting a second quarter sales at stores open at least a year rose 9% compared to the same quarter a year ago. Its online sales skyrocketed 97% compared to the second quarter of 2019. And its profit rose more than 79% to $6.4 billion. The largest retailer in the world was deemed an essential service and was able to stay open throughout the pandemic. A $14.5 billion cut to education is not sitting well with the New York State's United Teachers. That union issued a statement blasting the cuts, saying they are aimed at balancing the state budget and could cost students. The organization also denounced plans to cut funding for school districts and public higher education in the midst of the COVID crisis. Now, as public schools, colleges, and universities prepare to start a new year this fall, the state's most recent financial plan includes the withholding of funds in order to balance their budget. Schools were notified because of the projected shortfall that any funding tied to a statutory due date will be reduced to at least 20%. These cuts could gut programs that students depend on and result in layoffs around the state, according to the union. Well, we thank everyone for joining us here for WNY News Now. Let's check in with the comments and say hello to Kristen. Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see Patricia, Ryan, Alicia as well. Hopefully you're having a good day. Always great to see Wendy, David, and Lori on the broadcast, and good afternoon to Joseph as well. We appreciate you tuning in every day and staying up to date on your local news and weather. Speaking of that weather, let's now get a check of it with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter, and lots of sunshine out there today, Dakota.
Yes, we've got a lot of sunshine, and last night, did you look up into the sky last night? Not a cloud to be seen and lots of stars. It was fantastic to just stare up into the sky and look at the stars. It was fantastic. And today's going to be another great day. Lots of sunshine here coming from Erie. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures warmer today. We're up into the 70s today, once again, or the mid to upper 70s. So it's going to be feeling a little bit warmer than it has been past couple of days. Radar shows you absolutely nothing. We look at this all day long and it will show you the exact same thing. Nada. As a noon hour right now, 68 here in town, also in Mayville, 69 Clymer, 69 Corey, 72 Fredonia, 60 69 in Waterford, 76 over in Erie, but the humidity is staying low today. So once again, very great day to get out and enjoy it. So through the afternoon, bright sunshine, remains comfortable, but there is a high ultraviolet index today. So if you're going to be outdoors for any length of time, sunscreen is going to be recommended. 74 at the waterfront, 79 while inland with a light southwest wind. And we're going to crank up the heat tomorrow through the weekend, and we have to bring a few showers into the forecast for next week. We'll break it down in full detail in a few. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you. Chautauqua County officials have reported 3 new cases of COVID-19. Here's an updated look at the case map. Officials say that there is also 1 new hospitalization. The 3 new cases consist of a man and woman in their 20s, a man in his 50s, bringing the total to 277. There are now 14 of those active, with 110 people under a mandatory quarantine or isolation order, and more than 1,100 people are under the state's domestic traveler quarantined because they arrived here locally from somewhere on New York's travel advisory list. Now, to date, there have been 254 recoveries and 9 fatalities related to COVID. Health officials have also conducted more than 29,000 tests, coming back negative. Well, here in the U.S., flu season happens in the fall and winter, and a new worry as Americans continue to fight COVID-19. As our Mandy Gaither explains, a new study suggests flu and maybe even other viruses can spread now on dust particles.
Flu season and COVID-19 are about to collide.
Their symptoms will be hard to distinguish from COVID symptoms.
Both are contagious respiratory illnesses, but are caused by different viruses. It's already known that these viruses can spread through droplets in the air and from touching infected surfaces. But a new study suggests the flu and potentially other viruses, like the coronavirus, may be carried on small particles of dust that float in the air. The research published in the journal Nature Communications determined animals could infect one another in a lab through the virus on their fur, and dried tissue soaked with the virus could send off potentially infectious particles through the air when they are crumpled, adding another layer of concern as health officials are already bracing for flu season amid the pandemic, especially when it comes to virus detection, says former U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Because of the challenges, the ongoing challenges we have with testing capacity, it may take us a while to figure out whether the person who has a fever actually has COVID or something else, which means that more people will be isolated for longer, and also means it will be harder to keep schools and workplaces open.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy, thank you. The CDC says getting a flu vaccine will be more important than ever this season. The agency recommends all people 6 months and older get a yearly flu shot. Well, coming up, a lot more to tell you about. New York State will be revamping its DWI enforcement in preparation of Labor Day. And later, we tell you about a leadership change at a local skilled nursing facility. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I grew up in a single-parent home. We were raised by my mom in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens, and I slept in what was supposed to be a dining room just off the kitchen. We were poor and fell behind in our bills. More than once, our electricity was shut off and there were eviction notices taped to our door. I remember walking into our kitchen and finding my mother standing by the stove, crying to herself because she didn't know what to do and felt helpless. I was about 9 or 10 when our apartment was robbed. I remember arriving home with my mother and brother and finding the door open, feeling confused because the first thing I saw was that our television, a set which forever sat on a stand in the living room, was missing. I know firsthand what it's like to be a victim, to be assaulted, robbed, to have things taken from you which you're never going to get back, and to be scarred by experiences which 30 and 40 years later still haunt me. We're lucky enough to live in Chautauqua County where by and large we feel safe, but unfortunately bad things do happen here. I want to be the district attorney who personally prosecutes the most serious crimes and who's there for victims every step of the way. These are the people I want to represent, to fight for their justice, to fight for our justice in the courtroom, to help people who have suffered at the hands of others. This is why I want to be your district attorney.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Welcome back. New York State police and law enforcement agencies statewide will be ramping up enforcement of impaired driving through Labor Day. That according to Governor Andrew Cuomo, who says the Stop DWI, Drive Sober, or Get Pulled Over campaign is designed to reduce alcohol and other drug-related traffic crashes. Now, throughout the enforcement blitz, law enforcement will be stepping up patrols, and the New York State Thruway Authority and State Department of Transportation will have variable message signs alerting motorists to consequences of impaired driving. Now, during the campaign last year, law enforcement throughout the state issued nearly 5,000 tickets for DWI. Well, Kamala Harris made history at the DNC last night with a deeply personal speech to accept the party's vice presidential nomination. Karen Caifa is in Wilmington, Delaware, with a recap of her speech and the rest of the night's highlights.
Kamala Harris, the first black woman and first Asian American on a major party presidential ticket, outlining a vision for the country's future.
A country where we may not agree on every detail, but we are united by the fundamental belief that every human being is of infinite worth.
Joining her in a call to elect Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama, who put November's election in stark terms.
I'm also asking you to believe in your own ability, to embrace your own responsibility as citizens, to make sure that the basic tenets of our democracy endure.
Also making the case against President Donald Trump, his 2016 opponent, Hillary Clinton.
I wish Donald Trump knew how to be a president, because America needs a president right now.
Women dominated Wednesday night's speaking slots, from Clinton and Harris to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren, seeking to shore up progressive support for the Biden-Harris ticket.
We all need to be in the fight to get Joe and Kamala elected.
Democrats put a spotlight on 3 issues Wednesday night: climate change, immigration, and gun violence.
We can let the shooting continue, or we can act. We can protect our families, our future. We can vote.
Seeking to draw sharp distinctions with their Republican opponents. In Wilmington, Delaware, I'm Karen Caifa.
All right, Karen, thank you. Meanwhile, the Republican National Convention is slated to get underway next week, and among the many speakers will be First Lady Melania Trump. Trump will give her Republican National Convention speech from the White House's newly renovated Rose Garden. Her chief of staff also says the speech will take place on the second night of the convention, Tuesday, and will be live. The Rose Garden has undergone 3 weeks of extensive replanting and redesign and is scheduled to officially be unveiled this weekend. Well, back here at home, Heritage Ministries has named a new chief financial officer from Syracuse. The organization's CEO, Lisa Haglund, tells us that Greg Fernandez, CPA and MBA, comes to Heritage with a background of more than 28 years in financial management. Now, he previously served as a consultant for ProNexus and CFO of Friscan Management Services in Syracuse. Fernandez obtained both his bachelor's in accounting and his master's in business administration from Leon College and has been engaged with Heritage as the interim CFO since May. In his role, Fernandez will be responsible for oversight of all financial operations at Heritage and its affiliates nationwide. Now, he currently lives in Syracuse with his wife Barbara, and they have 2 sons, Gregory and Michael. Well, certainly we welcome him to the community, and we thank you for joining us here for WNY News Now. Let's check in with the comments and say good afternoon to Aaron. Good to see you. Good to see Lori as well. And Laura, thanks so much for joining us. Christine, Karen, Lisa, Ray, and Rebecca are all here as well. Hopefully everybody is having a good day, and we appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Let's now switch gears and get a check of our First Defense weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Dakota, for the first time this summer, I turned my heat on in the car this morning.
Yes, it was a chilly night last night. This is where we bottomed out officially for the low temperatures. 46 here in town, 54 in Fredonia, 44 Randolph. How about Bradford, Pennsylvania at 40 right on the nose, 45 in Olean. So as we told you, areas inland away from the lakeshore was likely going to drop down into the 40s. And as you got right near the immediate waterfront, you stayed in the 50s all night. So in terms of temperatures, where are we for the month? We've had more below average days this month so far than we've had, obviously, above average days. That's all the days here that are shaded in blue. So when you add all the highs and lows together to create a average temperature for the month, we're at 66.4 degrees for the month. That's actually about 1 degree below the average to where we should be. It's about 67.4, which is about the average temperature for the entire month. We'll see where we go with this. Obviously, we still have about another week or so to go of August. Can you believe that? Only about a week or so to go, and then we're in September. Can't believe it. 68 as a noon hour right now, variable wind of 6, so not a whole lot of wind out there, which is good and bad. Some people want the breeze, some people don't. But this is the big story here. Dew point low, 50 degrees. The humidity is very low. Are you ready? Blue Jays back in Buffalo tonight. Look out for the ball. Bam! There you go. It actually comes up at 107 this afternoon, so of course can't go to the game, but it's going to be great for the Blue Jays up in Buffalo. 77, around 76, lots of blue sky in downtown Buffalo, so go Blue Jays! Here we go. Next weather maker that we're keeping an eye on is summer. I'm coming back, baby. Look at the temperatures over the next 5 days. 84 tomorrow, 85 Saturday, 84 Sunday. We're going to hang out in the 80s pretty much all of next week. So if you wanted the summer warmth, it's coming back. Big high pressure dome is basically over New York State right now. That is giving us lots of blue sky. Nothing going on with that high pressure firmly over us. Tropics getting active. We now have tropical depression number 14, which is down here in the Gulf of Mexico. This is likely going to impact parts of Texas later this week or over the weekend. And we also have tropical depression number 13 out here in the far eastern Atlantic. This may clip parts of Florida and come up into the Gulf of Mexico. We'll see where that system goes over the next 10 or so days. So we're getting into the peak of hurricane season. Not surprising, the tropics are starting to get active. So inland areas today, much warmer than yesterday, likely mid 70s across some of the area, maybe upper 70s in spots with oodles of sunshine for you. Next 7 days coming up on the big old screen right now. 84 tomorrow, 85 Saturday, and we keep the sunshine going through at least the first half of the weekend. A few showers possible Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Still very warm for this time of the year. And how about almost mid 80s next Wednesday, but we should be mainly dry. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Well, are you a beer lover? Do you enjoy creating memes? If you answered yes to both of those, Budweiser has a new job for you. The company wants to hire a CMO, which stands for Chief Meme Officer, for the Bud Light Seltzer profile. Now, Bud Light's vice president of marketing made the announcement on Instagram, of course. The low-calorie beverage launched in January through September 18th. Anyone 21 or older can apply for the CMO job online and download the meme templates to experiment with. The job will entail creating 10 viral memes and sharing them on social media. It pays $5,000 a month for 3 months, so not too bad of a gig. Certainly, we always remind you, if you're going to enjoy alcohol, please do it responsibly and have a good time at the end of it, too. You know, Dakota, I actually have a guy in mind, in my family, who could do that job. He loves beer, and he really loves memes. That gets him in trouble sometimes, but I think you know who I'm talking about?
I think you do.
Yeah, so it'll be...
Does his name start with an M?
It does.
Okay.
And it ends with a K. 4 letters. So.
Yep.
I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be cool. I hope he should apply. I mean, he'd probably be pretty creative with it. And there's a lot of memes out there.
I'm actually surprised they didn't tap Post Malone because, you know, Post Malone has been sponsoring the Bud Light seltzers. So I'm surprised they didn't tap him to be like, you know, the CMO.
Yeah. But I think they want someone who can actually create the memes. Like, I feel like Posty's just he's just going to say whatever they write. Part of the ad deal. Where you need someone who's pretty creative. And
well, for me, I can't apply for the... Well, for me, I don't like beers, so that wouldn't be a good job for me. Now, you know, if, in a way, if we were creating memes for margaritas, then sure.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I think the last time we actually talked about the seltzer, and just talking about time, was at the Super Bowl, if you remember. We had the whole thing about it launching, and then the next week I came back and told everybody I tried it. That was the last time I drank one of those. And it's like, so crazy how quick time goes. I can't believe when you said the last week of August we'll see the weather, I'm like, holy moly, it's the last week of August. Like, what are we doing? I got to start buying Christmas presents.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, you know, some stores already have out like Halloween candy and Halloween decorations. I mean, you know, I think somebody in my family was talking about that recently. And you know, I basically just said, you know, the sooner we start thinking about Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, the sooner we can get this year done and over with. Because it's no secret this year is going to go down in history as one of the crummiest years, in history due to
COVID.
Something else.
I mean, it's the thing that's been dominating us forever. People are like, why do you guys keep talking about it? What else are we going to talk about? It's crazy.
There's nothing else going on.
Yeah. It's nuts. So, and if something else is going on, it connects to COVID somehow.
Right. Social distancing, masks.
Yeah.
You know.
Everybody's got a mask in the photo. Why? COVID.
Have you seen the thing on Facebook? I know we're running out of time, but have you seen the thing on Facebook? They posted a thing talking about these little cubicle things about that might be how concerts of the future, how people are going to be standing in their own little cubicle.
Right, your own space. You don't go anywhere else. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
They're doing it here. We were going to talk about this next week, but we're moving into a new office space, right?
Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But it's like the whole reason, one of the main reasons is because of COVID, and we need to have a better feng shui. And I think it's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately. And until they can get a vaccine, and even then, do people really trust it? And that's a whole conversation for another day because we only have 60 seconds for final weather. So go ahead.
All right, final weather here. So tonight, basically just a repeat of last night, but not as cool. 54 to 63. Get out and look at the stars if you didn't see them last night. Justin?
All right, Dakota. Certainly we'll look forward to it. And the fog, too. That was something this morning. Thank you. That's going to do it for us today. Of course, when you're on the go, stay in the know. Download the WNY News Now mobile app. We'll leave you with a live look over downtown Jamestown. We're back tomorrow with our TGIF edition. Hope to see you here.